Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Bayou Time. I'm Martin Falls, and we're joined by State Representative Tanner Magee, who sort of gave us some interesting news this week as he decided that he won't be seeking his office again, and for many reasons. But we have the state rep here today. And Tanner, good to see you. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. And of course, me and you talked before. You've always sort of hinted that the climate was changing in Baton Rouge. And I guess to trump the climate, I know your wife and three beautiful daughters sort of trumps everything. So it makes a, so I guess maybe my first question would be, in a nutshell, when you got smiling faces waiting for you at home and you have a lot of toxic atmosphere in Baton Rouge, it makes it for an easy choice, doesn't
Absolutely. I've actually only slept better since I made the decision, to be honest with you.
it?
No, everybody knows I have triplets. They're 14 years old. One of the things about that is I only get to do it once, as if you had an only child. So they're entering high school really right now. There's 4 years left with them, and then they're going to go on and do their lives. When I started sitting down and going through my process about running for reelection, that was the factor that weighed the most. Is I want to be here. I want to, I missed out on. I think I saw two of their softball games growing up. I don't want to miss the next 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
You miss out a lot depending on the season is or being in Baton Rouge. And I want to also, when I go to the games, I want to just be a dad and cheer and not worry about politics. I want to just enjoy it and be present. A lot of times I felt distracted. Something else would be going on. People would be calling me, and I felt like I was kind of only halfway there watching the game. I wanted to give it my full attention and just be there. And so that was definitely the most overriding factor. Every year or every time I've gone through this process, whenever you do your last session in Baton Rouge, you're always kind of annoyed and frustrated. But usually you start having like a bounce back towards the summer where you get some rest, some relaxation, and you start looking forward to with stuff. And every year it's kind of that looking forward to was decreasing. And then this past year, I just didn't have any sort of desire, motivation. And then, you know, frankly, I'm an extremely competitive person. Anybody who knows me knows that. So you want to run for reelection because you're competitive by nature. But then when I started thinking about it, that's not a reason to do the job. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's not a reason why you should run for office. I ran because I wanted to help people. I wanted to serve the parish. And, I came to a point where my personal life I thought was overtaking that desire to serve right now. Maybe not for forever, but it's definitely, those were the main factors in my mind.
Let me ask you this because, like I said, we've talked about the toxic atmosphere a couple of times. And just watching what Senator Fazy just went through with a phone call,
Hmm.
probably one of the most toxic phone calls I've heard
You know,
in my lifetime.
I
That's
don't
incredible.
I don't want to patronize what he went through.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've all received those phone
About
calls,
to say,
and it's way more common than people realize. And so, I was upset for Senator Fazy to have to go through that and hear it, but I can tell you, he's not the only one this session who received a phone call like that.
and I
A lot of
guess
the
that's
other
my
ones don't get the
point. I mean,
publicity.
there's a line where you become a leader and a public official, then you become a person. Most people are going to be offended and horrified by stuff like that.
Yeah, and look, I think sadly, the comments online are way worse than even the phone calls you get because they feel a sense of, protection from the keyboard. I had a guy on Instagram send me like "Hope you die" kind of similar stuff that Mike had,
Hmm.
and then I started just engaging back and forth with him, and then we found out we had something in common. Uh, and he actually apologized to me, but I had to create that personal connection with him before he realized that I'm a human being too, and I'm not some just mythical person
Hmm.
that you see online. And so, but it's common. I mean, it
And
is
you don't
truly
know when
common.
it's actually an idle threat or if it's a real threat. I mean, they may be having a bad day and just put something distasteful on, but you don't know it.
No, absolutely not.
Right.
Um, and that's the difference. I try to call people. A lot of my Facebook stuff I used to do is, hey man, give me your phone number, I'll call you. When I saw some really ugly things, and most of the times, that would be enough. But now, they will never, want to engage like that in person, man to man, woman to woman, situation. They want to have that online. They like the clicks. They like feeling like they're big and bad on social media. But in person, if you ever run into them, oh, that's not what I meant. We've had a lot of times. I've never done it, but some legislators will call state police. The state police will actually investigate, depending on the threat level. And almost every one of them, oh, that was an accident. People claim they got their accounts hacked, but you don't know. I mean, you could be a real, actual crazy person out there. Even if there's not a serious threat, though, Mark, it's still not enjoyable to have that
Right.
kind of stuff in your life. That sort of negative energy coming at you all the
Mhm.
time. It gets tiring.
And of course, we have two segments here. We'll breach it here, but you've done such a tremendous job in Baton Rouge and uh, the monies that have come in to this area with the delegation. And of course, you're one of the leaders of the delegation. It's been incredible. So a lot of great things have happened.
More money in the last 8 years while I've served. The most money spent by the state of Louisiana, any parish, over the last 8 years is in Terrebonne Parish, number one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I obviously don't know the history of it, but I'd be hard pressed for another legislator to be able to say that he brought that much money back to his parish in the form of projects.
I
So
always remember the late Senator Chabert always talking about bringing home the bacon. But y'all brought home a lot of bacon.
we did, and a lot of stuff is just getting started. I mean, I'll be proud. Probably over the next 4 years, seeing all the money that we brought back, and seeing those construction projects beginning. They're in the kind of in the oven right now, and I'm gonna look forward to seeing all the work being done over the next 4 years too.
I'm sure it's a lot bad and it's a lot toxic, but what are some of the projects that you feel most proud?
Well, I'll tell you, there's two bills that I passed that are going to lead to a lot of projects. One of them very specifically. Um, a couple years ago, I passed House Bill 578, which moved some BP money, $750 million from a trust fund that wasn't doing anything and put it towards infrastructure projects. Reason why I'm so proud of it is because it's under construction right now, but the elevation of LA1 from Golden Meadow to Grand Isle to connect Port Fourchon in a way to keep it as both a hurricane route and economic development, because the more trucks that can go in and out of Fourchon, the better in this entire region is. The reason why I'm so proud of it is because that coalition who was trying to get that road elevated had been trying for years without any success to get that funding project. And then I filed this kind of novel way of looking at it and funding it. And when I did it, nobody thought it was going to pass. I got so many patronizing kind of comments. Oh yeah, whatever. Former Senator Norby Chabert said, if that bill passes, I'll do a shot of gutter water from Bourbon Street. He was a co-author.
Did he do it?
We came up with something that had alcohol in it that looked like a shot of gutter water. And then, I really learned and I worked really hard on the process of passing major legislation on that bill. And, good bills often don't happen the first time. The first time I ran it, it didn't have enough traction. The second time I ran it, I figured out some things. I changed up my strategy a little bit, and it passed. And that wasn't just that project. It was actually $750 million across the state, mega projects that will help all of our roads and bridges. And more specifically, when you actually tie in with federal funding to all that's going to bring in, it's well over $1 billion. That was one of my favorite things. The second thing is another road and bridges projects, because everybody complains about the roads and bridges. I was really trying hard to address it. The governor had been trying to pass a gas tax since he got elected. It wasn't getting anywhere. It really wasn't a good idea. So me and another senator collaborated, and what we did is we moved $300 million from the existing vehicle sales tax from that to roads and bridges. It was very difficult bill to pass, and Governor Edwards said he was going to veto it. I had to do a whole lot of maneuvering behind the scenes to keep him. After passing it, I had to do a whole lot of maneuvering behind the scenes to keep him from vetoing it. He didn't veto it, thankfully. And now he goes around the state touting all the stuff that they're doing with the $300 million and the $1 billion from the BP stuff. So that's really my two most, I think, legacy is going to be, increased funding, which I think you're going to really see that next 4 years, not now, because it takes a while for that money to kind of start getting going, the projects lined up.
Let me ask you, because I've got many interesting phone calls over the years, especially during hurricane coverage. I know as a state rep that you get many interesting phone calls. Any one or two stick out over the years that you might have got that make you chuckle, make you go, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, I got a great one. I was at home on a Sunday, and it was really when we were struggling for money and all the things that were going on related to that. And Jay Darden, the division administration leader and former lieutenant governor, was saying some things in a committee meeting in the Senate that I wasn't at, but I was following along on Twitter, and I started responding saying this isn't correct. Like I was like live tweeting the thing, and all of a sudden I got a phone call and it said block number, and usually when it's a block number, it was either Gordy Dove or Norby calling me about something. That was my, and I thought it was gonna be Norby telling me to lay off, making fun of the Senate or making fun of Jay, because he was known to kind of do that. And so I got kids, my girls are young and they're running around screaming, and I go, hello, and it's like, this is Governor Edwards, and it was John Bell, unhappy with my tweeting, and I couldn't really talk to him though because my kids were like,
Right.
screaming outside. But I mean, it was the governor, so I was trying to be polite and deferential because I'm one of those people that even however you feel about the person, you always treat the office with deference. And so I was being as polite as I could be. And in the meantime, I got girls trying to put makeup on me and the whole entire 9 yards.
Oh, that's hilarious. But you say you're gonna miss some parts, but you say you were sleeping better since you made the decision. So obviously, you had some inner turmoil where you were trying to decide this for a while.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I always try to be humble and stuff. I think I was really good at it. I mean, I think I did a great job of it. I think I really
That is the perception.
I felt that way. I mean, I worked really hard. I tried really hard. You get to this position where you feel like if you're not doing it, maybe the next person won't be as good as you, or they'll mess up everything you've been doing. And so you struggle with that. That's a real deal struggle is, we did so many things to get the state and the parish and going in the right direction. And I think the foundation's there. But I'm not going to be there to see it kind of keep on going. And that sort of internal struggle is hard. It really is.
Who jumped higher, you or your wife, when you made the decision?
She definitely did.
Dan, I appreciate you coming on and being candid. And thank you for your service and what you did for our great area because, like I said, perception is you brought in a lot of money, did a lot of great things. We appreciate your service and thank you so much. Good luck with your wife and the twins because they'll be seeing you a lot.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, there you have it, Tanner Magee, and we appreciate him coming on. We're going to keep you posted on the race to replace him, and we'll see how many get in that race. So we'll take a short break. We'll be back with a lot more right here on Bayou Time. Don't go away.